92.9 with Basil, Zabe and Jenna.
Yes, here it is, the Tuesday edition of the podcast, 92.9 Triple M Breakfast. Tight Ass Tuesday today for a reason.
Not for these people. We'll hear the $39 billion Aussie success story.
And a few West Coast players might think West Coast are being tight asses, and we hear more about West Coast contracts with Nathan Shamuk.
Interesting, but first up, Albo's big idea to go and get people jabbed. That's first. Sounds of then, this is Australia, and this is also Australia. Only 15.4% of us are fully vaccinated. Our target is 80%. Just a quick whip around the room. I'm not in the room, but double vaxxed for me. X?
Yeah, done, mate. Both, yep.
One
Jenna?
down, one to go for me.
All right, and we've always been on the front end of it, and here in our discussions, the three of us have been pretty keen to go and get it done. We know not everybody is as keen. Our next guest, though, Jenna, has some incentives for them.
Absolutely. Opposition Leader Anthony Albanese, good morning.
Good morning. I really enjoyed Sounds of Then. It really is Sounds of Then, thinking back to when it came out.
Oh, indeed. Now, Albo, $300 cash payment to all Aussies that are vaccinated. How's this going to work?
How it will work is through the Medicare system, of course. There's a record of everyone who's getting vaccinated, and we need to do everything we can to encourage people to be vaccinated. Everyday Australians have borne the burden of this pandemic. Now, we need to reward those who do the right thing to protect their own health, the health of their communities, but also our economy is struggling. It's likely the September quarter will be negative, so it makes sense to provide some economic stimulus. And if you give $300 payments to people, guess what? They'll spend it.
Yeah.
They'll spend it creating jobs in their local communities, protecting jobs, helping small business. So I think it is a practical proposal we're putting forward constructively to the government. And they've responded negatively, I've got to say. I've been somewhat surprised they didn't even consider it. But that's we'll continue to advocate it, like we'll continue to advocate for purpose-built quarantine facilities.
Yeah. Alba, can I ask you this? So we just went around the room. You heard us. We've gone and got vaccinated. Now, we don't need the money, obviously. We didn't do it for that reason. But there'll be some people who say, well, hang on, we got proactive. We went and got it done. Do we get the $300 already?
You bet. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. A really simple system. Simple systems are the best. I think $300 payment for every Australian who gets vaccinated. We want to reward those who've been able to be vaccinated. Of course, there's been issues with supply. Australians have been trying to get vaccinated and have been unable to, a lot of them, because of the supply issues. But we want that incentive to be there. We know increased supply is coming. One of the things that we've seen with the current government is they don't plan ahead. They act too slow. We saw that with wage subsidies last year when we first proposed it. They said it was a dangerous idea, but JobKeeper kept people in work. This will assist people and assist the economy and jobs at the same time.
Anthony Albanese, thank you for your time and thank you for putting this idea forward, whatever it takes. I mean, if it can make a difference, if we can get moving from 15.4% faster, I think it's probably worth a try. What do you think?
92.9 with Basil, Zabe and Jenna.
You know any tight asses, Zabe?
Been pretty lucky throughout my life, but we did have one that was pretty obvious. He had very deep pockets at school, and he wouldn't shout if a shark bit him, Baz.
Fair dinkum, I've known a few blokes like that. Have you seen this story about, this is in the United States, but I have often wondered this. Guy took a set of scales to a restaurant with him because he was a bit suspicious that the 170-gram steak wasn't 170 grams.
Yeah.
So he took his own scales to the restaurant.
Whacked the...
He's ordered the 170-gram steak, gets the steak off the plate, puts it on the scales, and guess what?
They hadn't fallen short.
101 grams.
So does that fall under the tight ass category?
Well, maybe it does.
Yeah,
maybe
it does.
Doesn't. But it's interesting that there are things, from time to time you think, I wonder if that's if I'm getting full bang for my buck out of whatever we're buying now.
100 grams, that's a mouthful.
It is a bit. I guess it probably does fall into the tight ass category though, because technically, mate,
it's not the first time he's done it either. I wouldn't imagine. If you got the scales on hand at the restaurant, I reckon you've done it once or twice before.
I would have thought so. So what we'd like to do this morning, I reckon this is a good opportunity for us to invite you to dob in a tight ass. Shani, I'm not sure if we've got any accompaniment for that or not just yet.
Dob in a tight ass.
There we go. 40 doing his best work. 133353. I reckon we all know one. Jenna, do you know somebody who falls into that category or ever had a friend who has been a little on the tight side?
I come from a long line of tight asses.
Are you?
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yuck.
We only go shopping on a Thursday, grocery shopping on a Thursday. And I remember one day we went to Bunbury, which was like a big day out in the big city for us. She found a bag of rice, a 1 kilo bag of rice that was on sale for $3. We had to carry that around all day.
Does that not frustrate you, like tight asses?
Yeah, but you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, I'd cut him from my life. See you, Nun.
Now, Zach's in Mandurah. Morning, Zachy.
Morning, mate. How are we?
How was Jenna this morning, Zachy? Did you get a nice little cuddle? You liked it, Zach? Good
Creepy
boy.
laugh. I like it.
That was a good one.
Oh, let's pull our socks up, Zachy. Are you a tight ass?
Yep, I sure am.
Good on you,
It's
bro.
you.
Yep, unfortunately.
Go on, elaborate, mate. How are you a tight ass?
Well, every now and then when I'm a bit broke and I want to go to the pub with the boys, I'll stop in at the bottle shop on the way,
Yeah.
get the good strong cans and take a few pocket pulls in, go up to the bar, get a glass of water and sneak off to the smokers area, tip the water out in the garden, pour myself a can.
Now, Zachy, I do need to know if
love
you're at the bar with your mates and you're in a shout, regardless of being a bit strapped for cash, you always see your shout out, wouldn't you?
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, good boy. Yeah, that's all right,
Zach, that's dedication to being a tight ass. I like that. Stevie's in Mullaloo. Morning, Steve.
Morning, how are we, guys?
Talk us through it, mate. Who is it?
We went to a wedding with another couple, same distance there and back, and our fare was $2 cheaper than theirs on the way home. On the Monday, he said to me that we should split the $2 and that we owe him $1.
No way.
Yep.
Did you say his name, Steve?
Hey?
What was his name?
It was Gavin.
Gavin.
Gavin,
Will Gavin know that you're talking about him right now?
Oh, if he's listening, he will. So, but yeah, he even today he still asks for that $1.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. That is gold star tight ass, Steve.
It is. And we couldn't believe it. My wife just says, just give it to him in 5-cent pieces. That'll upset him.
Yeah. Sorry, Steve, just quickly, what was his name again one more time?
Gavin.
Yeah, I thought it was Graham. Good morning, Graham.
Good morning. How you going, guys?
Good, mate. Nominate a tight ass in your life, please.
Yeah, we have to go back a bit when the GST came first in.
Yeah.
The West Australian went from 80 cents to 88 cents.
Oh,
So the guy used to pick up the paper every morning.
Yeah.
And what he did was he opened an account at the lunch bar. So after 10 papers, they said that's $9. And he goes, no, $8.80, 10 papers at 88 cents. So he saved himself 2 cents a day.
Tight ass.
Not bad.
Wow.
Some people just make an art form of it, don't they? They don't mind pinching the pennies. I went for a drive once. A bloke asked me for petrol money. We've had a bit of that. But I remember once going to a funeral, and this is a classic, and sometimes at the funerals they pour the scotch around, at the end, back at the wake.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy at the back, it was his grandfather's funeral. He was pouring the very expensive scotch. He had very expensive bottle of scotch, the Glenfiddich or something amazing. And he had bought cheap scotch and was putting that into the expensive bottle to then come around and pour it.
Not bad.
Cheapskate.
I don't mind it, but Baz, that did remind me of the $1 split petrol bill. We had when we were at Hawthorn, we had an event down on the Mornington Peninsula, and you go through e-tags where we have to pay to use the roads. It was about $7.90, and the guy wanted to split it 5 ways. No word of a lie. No word of a lie.
Are we naming any names here, X-Man?
All I say he's a small forward, and he played in a few premierships. That's all I'll say.
92.9 with Basil, Zabe and Jenna.
Guys, it's the dream, isn't it? Imagine you meet someone out in the street, basically. You come up with a bit of a plan, you invent something, you get it underway in your garage, and you sell it to the founder of Twitter years later for $39 billion.
How much is enough in your eyes, Jenna?
What do you mean?
10 million?
Well, 39 million US is what? Upwards of 40
billion.
Billion?
Billion, yeah.
Yeah, look, that'll do me.
That'll do me.
Yeah.
What an amazing story it is, and it is the true amazing story of two Aussies. To tell us a little more of the Afterpay success story, I mean, just love it. You can dream. Stories like this, you dare to dream when you hear them. Scotty Phillips from Motley Fool, good morning. What a story this is, Scotty. Tell us a bit about it.
Morning, guys. It is a fantastic story, isn't it? It's basically the story, as you said, a couple of blokes who imagined a different way for us to pay. Now, it's hard to think. Afterpay is not that old. We kind of all know what it is. We know what it does. Most of us have got an Afterpay account of one sort or another. And yet the idea of taking on Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Cash, EFTPOS, the whole lot, literally something brand new and taking it to the world, I don't know who would have dared to dream that. But when you do and you are successful, it's just an amazing, amazing story. They built this little business effectively from the stereotypical garage, but merged it into a business called Touch Corp way back in the day. It became Afterpay Touch, then just Afterpay, and has gone on to pretty much take the world by storm. It's worth now, believe it or not, about a quarter of the market valuation of American Express. When you think about that, that's just phenomenal.
Hey,
just phenomenal.
Scotty, were they best mates, or what was their relationship when they started out?
It was a funny story. So basically, they've come together with two blokes who've got an idea they can kind of work on together. And what I love about some of these stories is when you get two people who say, well, look, I want to do this thing, you want to do that thing, maybe we can work together. And you kind of find those complementary skills. It's the old, startup dream where you meet someone and say, hey, I've got this idea, I've got that idea too. We can pool our skills and make this work. And it's just one of those stories where, as I said, it kind of was born as a payment network on one hand, but it's a Touch Corp itself. They were originally making, machines in Europe that worked for gift cards. And that's the base of the technology. They pivoted really fast, took a right-hand turn and ended up in this business that we're all, using to pay our bills, to buy a pair of jeans or whatever else. And Square's buying for $40 billion.
So, Scott, saying that, so it's Jack Dorsey who owns Twitter. He's bought this. Yes. What does it mean for the owners now? Have they cashed out completely?
Well, at the moment, they're going to... So, basically, Square, the business we're talking about that's bought Afterpay, is paying for it in shares. And we're not getting into the detail on a Tuesday morning, but effectively, rather than getting an Afterpay share, or for every 100 Afterpay shares you get, you're going to swap those for 37.5 Square shares. So the co-founders are worth about $3 billion each as a result of this deal, but they're going to initially take it in Square shares. Generally speaking, when you do something like that, if you're a founder, you get locked into the new company. Yeah. So they will have signed a contract to be there for 2 or 3 years. And after that, you're pretty much free to go and free to do what you want. But right now, no cash is actually changing hands. They're just getting more expensive Square shares for the Afterpay shares they're giving up.
But it's just that brilliant dream, isn't it? So these guys, and Xavier was telling us, they literally, was it out in the morning at the rubbish bins or something? They just met and got chatting that way?
Taking bins out together or something when they were bored and had nothing really in common.
Had no idea. Yep, exactly. And that's, if you got that sort of skill, there's plenty of stories of, blokes who grew up together doing their own thing. But even the Atlassian guys, Scott Farquhar and Mike Cannon Brooks, they happen to be at uni together. They kind of were in each other's circles, but not entirely. And all of a sudden realised, hang on, we've got this idea. We think we can make this work. Let's sit down and work on it together. And again, the same sort of thing. It's, when you don't give up, you work bloody hard to try and make something of it. Look at, plenty of businesses go broke trying to do the same thing. But a wonderful Australian success story.
Geez, my neighbours are stiff. Imagine them walking out trying to get a relationship going. Oh, this idiot.
They run into this fool. Not going to make any money there, but he'll probably give me a dud horse tip for Ascot or something.
Actually, if you emptied me bin, you'd get 10 cents a stubby. You'd get some money there.
Scotty, well done. We love the success stories.
92.9 with Basil, Zabe and Jenna.
The man with the inside word on the footy, Nathan Schmuck from afl.com.au, joins us at the earlier time this week. Schmucky, morning.
Morning, Baz. Nice to see you on the screen there.
Thank you. Yeah, lovely to be here and lovely to be broadcasting from home, in home quarantine.
Home in Perth.
Home in Perth, that's right. The Eagles in the 8, the Dockers in the 8. There's the good news.
Yep.
Now the bad news.
The bad news, yeah. The bad news is West Coast, but I'm going to start with the Adam Cerra situation. So
Right, what is going on?
That's the intriguing thing at Fremantle. I think it's going to be the big story for probably the next 3 to 4 weeks before he makes a decision at Freo. That's aside from them making an unlikely charge at finals. But the Adam Cerra situation, so he was outstanding on Sunday, and we're getting a lot of noise now out of Melbourne. Clubs are getting their ducks in a row. They're getting prepared to make a bid for him. And his management are making a lot of moves to make sure that there are clubs and finding out the market. That's why we're hearing a lot now about clubs being linked, clubs being in the running, clubs being out of the running for Adam Cerra, but I'm still assured that he hasn't made up his mind. He's still 50-50. So that's where it sits now for Adam Cerra. And I think that's important for Fremantle fans because the more noise that you hear out of the East about him making a move, the more nervous they get.
Okay, once upon a time, the longer it went, the less likely somebody was to stay. What's your reading of it, X? Do you think he's staying or going?
Well, the way he's played the last 2 weeks, he deserves to earn $750,000, $800,000 or whatever it is. But he has to play at that every single week. Where there's smoke, there's fire too often in football, isn't there, Baz? I think Travis Cloke was probably about the first one who didn't sign until the end of the year, then signed to stay at Collingwood, who they end up leaving in the end of the Bulldogs. But look, that contract's been there for so long. I'd be surprised.
Been there since mid-March.
I'd be surprised if a contract sat there since mid-March. Yeah. And a kid that wants to go home. From day one, Fremantle were concerned about Cerra wanting to go home. You don't hear too much about Brayshaw going home. I'd be concerned. I just feel as though it's been there for so long, and when it popped up, it was overs by a long, long way too. So why wouldn't you jump at it? That's my only concern.
The other thing Fremantle have done, they've sold the vision to him really aggressively of what their future looks like. So they can rest easy now. They've done everything.
All right. Well, good luck, Freo.
Good luck, Freo. Schmuck.
Yeah.
West Coast.
West Coast.
They appear to have a more shallow talent pool than the Kardashian family.
Oh, hang on.
What on earth?
Hang on.
What on earth are they doing?
Sorry, hang on.
That's a good line. I like that, Jenna. Well, they're exactly where you don't want to be in an AFL season. They're on the roller coaster. They're up 1 week and then they're down and they crash and then they're back up, and it's inconsistency, and it must be exhausting for them and their fans. But they've got issues on a lot of fronts this week. Selection, form, there's some contract issues bubbling around at West Coast as well. So selection, I think this is the biggest week for them at the selection table all season.
Have you got a feeling of what's going to happen? Melbourne on Monday night, still in the finals.
Well, this is what I think they're going to do. I think they're too late now to make a big call on any of these big names. They've run out of time, and they need to just keep things consistent now and not get back into that habit of making big changes, 5 changes a week, and losing their way. I think they've lost that opportunity now to drop someone like an Oscar Allen or a Jack Darling, and they're going to have to stick with what they're doing, which may not work, but I think this far out from finals now, 3 weeks, they need to find some consistency.
Contracts.
So the big ones that are yet to be done, Jared Brander, Josh Rotham, Luke Foley and Liam Duggan. I'm very confident that Liam Duggan's going to get done. I think there's starting to be some clarity and some movement on him. Jared Brander talks seem to have really slowed up, if not stopped there. So
really?
Jared Brander, I think there's a bit of work to do now to get that over the line. Josh Rotham and Luke Foley, I think, are important players for them. They need to get done. But a lot of clubs now are talking about a bit of a freeze on signing new contracts because of the uncertainty around player payments. So they might be 2 players at West Coast that just have to hold on a little bit longer until there's some certainty around the salary cap.
Well, they're probably only worth $100,000 in match payments anyway, so it's not. No. Well, they've got so much money at the top end stitched up.
They do.
So there's not a lot of money to go around. So $150,000 or whatever it is, that'd be about right, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon Josh Rotham's shown that he's worth a bit more. And I reckon Luke Foley, there's some clubs starting to look at him and say he's got some potential. He's not in this West Coast team. So I think they should be looking to get him done as well.
I might be mad. I reckon they beat Melbourne this week. I don't know why.
That's the Monday night game, and then the following week will be the Derby, probably on the Sunday to give them, the 6-day break.
Correct.
All of that is not to mention Shannon Hearn and Josh Kennedy, who we know are both keen to play on next season. And I wonder if that's still the case if they do go into a rebuild for a short period.
Schmooky, comprehensive as always. A lot of questions at West Coast. There's no doubt it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out the rest of the season and also the off-season. We'll catch up again next week, Schmooky.
Cheers, Baz. Good to see you.
92.9 with Basil, Zabe and Jenna.